Maybe I don't know if you are aware, but at group level, we have a kind of organization which is called Bold, which is taking participation to some startup company, 15-20%, in order to support them, to help them to grow, and sometimes to be able to acquire them.
Meet the CFO, ein Podcast der Universität St. Gallen mit Dirk Schäfer und Florian Hohmann. This episode is presented by the L'Oréal Group.
So, welcome to a very special episode of Meet the CFO today. For one reason, you can already realize I'm doing it in English. It's our first English-speaking episode that we're ever doing. Secondly, I'm doing it without Dirk, sadly, today. But we are still 3 people because I have 2 amazing guests here. I'm sitting in Düsseldorf in Germany at the German headquarters of L'Oréal, and we're in the 15th floor, have a great view. At least my guests have the great view. I'm actually looking at the wall. But it's a very nice place here. You can truly see that L'Oréal is a marketing company. Everything looks very fantastic. And yeah, our guests today also happen to be our sponsors of the season. So we're going to have a very nice conversation about the company and getting to know the 2 of them. On my left side, there's Maria del Castillo Hørup, right? Hørup. Yeah, we talked about it before. It's Danish. A Danish-Spanish mix of the surname, so not easy to pronounce. Actually, Maria is the Talent Acquisition Director DACH of L'Oréal and has been at the company for more than 24 years. So I guess a lot to tell us about the company, especially because she's been in different roles. She used to be in marketing, key account, brand management, and now, does talent acquisition. So maybe also very interesting for our students to hear what you have to say. And to my right side, there's Stephane Grimardias. Stephane started as a controller at UBS in Switzerland, but is at L'Oréal for even longer, so 26 years and 7 months, in a lot of different finance roles, CFOs in a lot of regions, as I saw on LinkedIn. And now CFO of the DACH area of L'Oréal. So the first time that we have 2 people from a company with very different professional backgrounds that work for a company for a long time. Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you very much, and welcome to L'Oréal DACH.
Thank you. Yeah, we already had lunch together and already had a very good experience here of the company. And actually was in touch with L'Oréal in the morning, and I had no idea that I was, because when I came here, I actually Googled which other companies you own and realized it's a lot. L'Oréal owns a lot of different brands. And I always use CeraVe skincare in the morning. And then I realized, oh, that's also L'Oréal. So I actually used one of your products. Have you used any L'Oréal products in the morning to start your Monday?
Start with the ladies.
Yeah, with the ladies.
But we have a lot of products for our gentlemen as well, and they keep grooming themselves. So yes, absolutely. I think being a part of a beauty company, you don't need to use our products to be part of this journey. But yes, sure. I use, I think, everything that I have in my bathroom. Kerastase for the hair and a lot of other nice products. Biotherm. So yeah, I don't know. What about you, Stephane?
I use also skincare. Well, I have a beard, as you can see. So and also some styling gel as well, as you can see with my hair, and of course fragrances from L'Oréal, where Giorgio Armani is my favorite one.
Yeah, another brand where Giorgio that belongs to L'Oréal as well that I didn't know before. So like. I said it in the introduction, you're both at the company for a very long time. So what does L'Oréal do to their employees? Do they imprison you? Do they handcuff you here at night? What do they do that you stay at the company for such a long time?
I leave Maria HR, and then I will tell you if it is if it's story. Okay.
If it's only the marketing story of HR, no, absolutely. No, I have to say that I love working for this company. As you mentioned, we have 4 business units, like 4 divisions as we call them, and I worked in 3 of the 4, and for me each time it was like changing the company, because the business model of each one is very different. So actually I grew my whole know-how throughout this amazing journey, and yes, now I even had the chance to step into HR, besides the fact that I have never been in HR before. And I think this is really amazing. And this is what the journey of L'Oréal is about. It's about growing as a person, growing as a professional. and then discovering maybe even certain things that you never thought that you would be able to do. And this is very much so. I think growth, personal growth and development is one of the biggest, I would say, gifts that I can say that I have being by L'Oréal. But then there are lots of others like diversity. I think we're a super diverse company with very diverse profiles, as diverse as our consumers. So this is also amazing.
So, Stephane, was that HR marketing speech, or is that true? Is that what kept you in the company as well?
Well, it is totally true. On top of that, I really want to mention that L'Oréal is, of course, it's a fantastic professional opportunity, but it's definitely a fantastic human also adventure. Everyone, every person is contributing to the community, and it's really what makes the difference. It is a company for me since 26 years, and since the beginning, I receive a lot of responsibility also in my job. I was in front of general manager quite quickly, so you have a lot of responsibility. You could let's say take a lot of challenge also. So it's really a good company to develop yourself, to connect with other people, with different métiers, with different function as well. So it's you enrich yourself also with the contact of the others.
You also spoke about diversity, obviously. Like today, I met a lot of L'Oréal people, nearly all women. So L'Oréal seems to be, in the beauty marketing industry. I don't know what's the percentage of men that you have in the company?
We have 40%, and I have to say that we're super proud that on a management level we have like a 50-50 gender balance. I think there are not many companies of our size that are able to deliver this very gender balanced approach. And yes, I mean, as I mentioned, it's like the diversity of cultures. We have more than 60 nationalities in DACH, which is also amazing to have such a diverse colleagues to work for.
So, Stephane, do you also manage to get a little bit diversity into the financial area? Because that is always complicated, right? At our university, at the finance masters, I think we have 70% men. So it's not so easy to get women into finance, is it?
No, I think it's even if the opposite. I have a lot of women in my team, and my LT, finance and purchase, because I'm responsible for these two functions, is really 50-50 as well. So the same number of women and men. So now it's really well balanced, and it's also part of the success of these companies to have also this right gender balance inside our community, and is the key factor of success.
So yeah, and it's actually L'Oréal is the first company we have in the podcast from the beauty industry, and you can already see it in the building. I saw a lot of products like everywhere, and like I would be interested in you both, as we learned work for the company for so long. What's special about working for a beauty company? You can answer, whoever wants to answer. What's special about the beauty market? Because like being a CFO, we have so many CFOs at the podcast, like you're in charge of the finances, right? But what's special about being the CFO of a beauty company? Can you point anything out?
Wow. Good question. Difficult to say, because to be clear, when I was also a student in Geneva, the perspective was not to be in the beauty company. First, it was in a bank, so it was more in financial area. I think the sense of purpose of our company, it's really to create the beauty that moves the world. It's to bring beauty to everyone across the world. It's a very strong manifesto, and I'm proud also for working for this company with such image, with such brand, with such engagement. So, of course, when you are working L'Oréal, you love your products by definition. You love all your brands that we have. But it goes really beyond only the products. And what I'm very proud and what attracts me and along all these years, it's really the sense of purpose of this company and the engagement of this company for the community, for the inclusion. So it goes really beyond, and it's the image of the company that I really today proud to work for. And it's really a matter of motivation, despite that, of course, we have the best product in the world. That's for sure. But despite this one is really the company culture and what the image that we bring outside.
Do you also feel it in daily life in your job that you're the CFO of a creative marketing company? Does it make your finance more creative?
It definitely yes, and it forces also finance to be let's say to react at the same speed. We are the number one beauty leader in the world, and we need to act fast. We need to be always on front of everything. We need to really keep our competitive edge when it's about innovation, what about marketing, what's about also sales, and of course finance as business partner. We need to act as fast as the business. We need to support them to find solution, to help them to develop the business, to create value, and it's why with my team we try to do every day.
And I have to say that finance has always been my best sparrings partner. Stephane, your teams have always done a great job. I was always amazed by these finance people and colleagues that were able to support me in my marketing decisions. So very ROI oriented, but also understanding why we're doing certain things and having this curiosity of understanding why we might invest in certain areas or why we exactly need this influencer to support our brand. So I really have to say that this part I always loved about the collaboration with the finance teams. And then I think maybe just to add on what Stephane said, I think for me, for example, it was like really this innovation spirit of L'Oréal. So I got to know L'Oréal via Brandstorm, who is our innovation competition. So for all, I would say, young people between 18 and 30 years. And it's like a business case where you work in a group of 3 and you kind of develop a new creative idea. And this brought me to L'Oréal, and actually I got to know, the HR person, but also got connected with people from the business, from the marketing teams, and maybe just as an invitation for those who might be listening. So this year we have a new mission. It's about men, beauty, and care. So here we are, opening up to any ideas how we can develop this sector in terms of technology, but also products or even more. So until the 10th of April. You can join.
So Maria, tell us a little bit more about your journey with L'Oréal, because as we've learned, you worked in very different roles. Like you got to know the marketing side, the key account management side, now HR. Like how did it start, and what were your first experiences in the marketing area?
Wow. Yes, I think when I look back, the nice thing was I started in the consumer products division, which is a very fast-paced environment with very tough competition. And this really, I mean, at the time I was responsible for makeup for a segment within the makeup, but I really got this responsibility from day one. Talking to the colleagues in Paris about how we should develop our portfolio, having an ownership of budget. So I was really able to invest in marketing campaigns, etc. And while developing and taking over then also a people development role, because I then got team lead for a certain number of people, the opportunity came up to change the division. And I would say this was the first big step in my career, because I changed division. And it was really like changing a company, because then I changed to the Luxe division, which is working completely different. And even at that time, we didn't have the same IT systems. So I was just like, a new employee in a new company, but also in a new business model, because this is what L'Oréal is all about. It's about having different consumers that buy their products in different retail environments.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I had to learn a lot of new things. And basically there I also got the chance then to jump into a key account role. So I was responsible of Douglas, which is one of the biggest clients for Luxe. And yes, and to continue to explore, I would say, yes, what's needed, to deliver also the turnover, which is the growth driver. I mean, it's the top line that we need to deliver every day. And finally, I went to professional products division, which is our, I would say, hairdressers focused environment, which is tough because it's B2C, but it's also a B2B business, because we're delivering products to hairdressers, which work with our products every day. So again, there, the marketing mix is completely different. So absolutely amazing. And yes, now in HR, so understanding what's needed in terms of talents to build these amazing teams.
Before we get to HR, one question that I have with marketing, because when I was younger, I always thought marketing was this very only creative job. You know, all the creative minds are there, and then you create campaigns, and you it's just creative people who meet. But like the more I met marketing executives, and in my own company, we also have our marketing guys. It's also sometimes not too far away from a CFO because it's also very analytical and numbers driven, right? So what's the ratio here? How was the ratio for you in your daily job?
I would say you really need to have both. I mean, you need to have the creativity, be open-minded, and go beyond what's already there. Because if you don't go beyond, you will never be the market leader. You will never keep your market leadership. But then you need to understand the ROI of your activities. I mean, if it's not working, I think Stephane and his finance team would give me a quick call and tell me, this is not working. What are you spending your money on? So analyzing not only the impact of your investments, but also how they are performing in terms of market shares and business growth, it's essential. So I think both have to live together if you want to be successful.
Maybe if I can add, I think it's a question of being empowered also by the area where you are acting. And if you are a marketing person in charge of a brand like Armani or with it's a product category or hair care, for example, definitely you are in charge of applying, developing new marketing activities, but you're also in charge of your P&L, of profit and loss for your brand. So you act in, let's say, in your area as a small entrepreneur, and you take care of all, let's say, the element also on the financial, on the execution. You have discussion also with the supply team in order to be sure that your product are delivered on time. So you take care of also or your customer and consumer will also be faced in the DM or Rossmann, if I take the German landscape, or they will find your product in the distribution. So it's not only marketing, like we say, okay, it's TV advertising, promotion, like a promotional activity. It's really much more brighter scope, including the financial. And then, of course, my team could interact with the marketing team, but the idea is I think, finance today is definitely not any more controlling, because in controlling you have the word control, and I think we have to go beyond. Now it's financial business partners, and when we're business partner, we co-manage things together.
Mm-hmm. And when you are in marketing and you decide, like, I want to do this campaign or that campaign, how do you spread your marketing budget? Is it very analytical that you have a lot of numbers and a lot of experience? Is it sometimes more like a gut feeling? How much do I spend on classic TV ads? How much do I spend on influencers? Which influencers do I work with? How do I pick them? What kind of decision is that? How can I imagine that?
I think that the decision making of marketing spendings, first of all, is you need to understand which division you're working for at L'Oréal, because the business model is really different. So, and this was what made it for me so interesting to stay at L'Oréal. It was really that I had these three very different business models. And when you come from the mass market where you have, this big reach, you need to reach a big audience. You need to focus on activities that really reaches the people that you want to reach with the product, with the campaign. On Luxe, it was already a bit more breakdown, because you have the beauty advisors, for example, that need, to speak about your products. So you have this educational piece and PR piece, promotion piece, which is really also very focused. And you have a lot of investments in the stores, because it's also a lot about in-store experience. If you want to sell these super expensive high-end products, you need to deliver more than just product performance. So it's very much also about the experience that you can deliver, for example, in counters like KaDeWe or Oberpollinger. And finally, for PPD, as I mentioned, then there you will then drive your decisions again, considering that you have two different target groups. You have the consumer that might be interested in your shampoos and your conditioners, etc. But you also have the hairdresser who is using your colorations for his daily business. So then you will always make the decisions depending on what you want to reach.
And maybe a question for both, because it's also like a prediction analytical question. Do you already today use predictive analytics in marketing to try and find out if I do that kind of ad, maybe I'll sell those products more? Or Like, do you use any AI to predict outcomes of marketing campaigns?
We are pilot for a new tool, an internal tool that is developed with the help of our headquarters. So I will not say that today it's something that we do since many months or many years. We are starting this journey on the predictive analytics. We already have. We have a lot of data, as you can imagine. So we are very strong to interpret the data, to understand what we have to invest. But on the predictive part, we are at the beginning, let's say, or middle of the beginning, and of course we will. We have a lot of brands, we have a lot of categories, so it takes time to move category by category. But they're definitely the direction where we want to go. Using the power of data to continue to increase our competitive edge and to continue to gain market share, to touch more consumer. If I just take what just Maria said, it's true that also the way that we invest is in order to really touch more consumer that we have to. And as our consumer, it's much more complex today. They are much more informed than before with all the social network. It's important to have not only one channel to invest, but much more having an omni-channel perspective and orientation. And it's true that via and through predictive, we can maybe even be better in terms of elasticity of our investment.
Mm-hmm. And Maria, yeah, after marketing and key account management, you went into HR and you're doing recruiting now. So why that change? How did that happen? Was that always something you looked into, or was it just a complete coincidence?
I mean, at L'Oréal, you're very much in the driver's seat of your career. In this case, I have to say that I had the opportunity to participate in the deployment of a cultural transformation. It is a journey that's called Simplicity 2. And I was in charge of deploying this program within DACH 2 years ago, which made me somehow come very much in touch to HR topics, because every cultural transformation and organizational transformation, it's very much HR related. So somehow I got into the community of HR because I did it at the same time as my job as a general manager for L'Oréal Professionnel. And somehow I really flourished in this role, despite the fact that I was doing both things at the same time. I really discovered this big passion for the topics. And yes, and then the opportunity came up, the job was there, and I didn't hesitate a second. I still remember the conversation with our HRD that proposed it to me, and I have to say it was a great decision, because it's very close to marketing, I have to say, because it's not only about recruitment, it's really about employer branding. So we are also having all these touch points with people that are interested into L'Oréal. So very happy having been able to take this decision.
So what does your typical day look like? Because we've spoken to a lot of CFOs already, and we've heard like they are different, but the tasks are always kind of similar at big corporations, what you do as a CFO, but we haven't spoken to HR yet. So what's the typical day of a talent acquisition director?
So I think, Stephane, you might agree with the Simplicity 2 program. We started a very, very nice initiative that's called the Monday morning warm-up.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know if do you use it,
Oh,
Stephane?
every single Monday. Yes. I use it, and I really ask my team to do it the same.
What is that?
So in fact, with this Simplicity 2 program, there's a lot of initiative. But one is that Monday morning you have no meeting. So you just warm up the week. So first you start by planning your week, preparing meetings if you have to. It's helpful also to have no worries during the weekend. So it's helpful also to totally disconnect during the weekend, because one other initiative is no email during the weekend. So it's helpful really to disconnect. We have quite intensive, I think, finance and HR both. We have quite intensive week in this company. So we allow each employee to disconnect during the weekend, to recharge also, to resource with their family, with their friend or whatever. And the Monday morning, so it's really free. So you don't have no stress on Sunday evening, and just need to look my emails on my laptop to see if I have a meeting. So it's helped to start the week well, and to have also very smooth enter in our intensive week.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you talked about that it's sometimes a little bit similar to marketing because you also do employer branding. And employer branding is about what kind of employer you want to be and how you want to be perceived, right? So how do you make sure that you are also the kind of employer that you are perceived?
So it's all about authenticity. And I think a very important piece of our employer branding campaigns, it's not only about showing us with very, I would say, polished advertisement, because we're very much related to our brands. Like you mentioned, we have more than 35 brands at L'Oréal, and very often people perceive us like the brand, like if we were the brand. But as an employer, we want to be perceived with the culture and the ways of working that we have. So we're very happy that we have very engaged employees that join our employer branding campaigns. This means that we really record videos with them, like going through the office, showing, yes, everybody who might be interested in joining L'Oréal, how it really looks like here, how we work. And this helps us to really to show the real face behind, I would say, maybe what people might think L'Oréal is about.
So employer branding is also a little bit bottom up, that employees tell you how they perceive L'Oréal, and then that's what you brand, not top down.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, Stephane.
No. We have every year a survey that we ask all our employees to fill. It's called Pulse. So it's really to take the pulse of our employee. It's around 50 questions, if I'm not mistaken. And we can measure the engagement of our people. I think we're around 78 or 79% across our DACH organization, which is quite strong. We measure also enablement, well-being, other elements. So it's helpful also to understand if what we say, what we claim as a company culture is also perceived by employees. It's taken very seriously, because we have after workshop also with the DACH LT team in order to, let's say, understand where we still have area of improvement. And maybe also to complete what just Maria said, it's true that maybe L'Oréal is more marketing and maybe a sales company, at least known for, a little bit less for finance. With my HRD, Patricia Held, we are also visiting university. We were in Münster in May, also to only with finance people. Said, okay, we are also existing for finance. We're also fantastic opportunity in the finance area, which maybe not the top of mind of people when you pronounce the name L'Oréal.
Werbung.
So we got a message from our sponsor L'Oréal for all of you who are into tech. Go and join the L'Oréal group. Because at L'Oréal you can find cutting-edge technologies, championing diversity and sustainability. And L'Oréal is currently looking for passionate minds like yours to join and create the future of beauty. Are you ready to explore the new frontiers of tech and create innovations with a positive impact? Discover a world of opportunities at L'Oréal Group at careers.l'oreal.com.
Werbung Ende.
So then let's talk a little bit more about finance and finance at L'Oréal. We already heard that you own a lot of brands, companies, and you have inorganic growth every year. You always acquire companies, you buy startups. How often are you in your CFO DACH role involved in M&A transactions?
Less than before, because before I was in the headquarters in Paris, so
Yep.
in the zone role. So of course at this level of the hierarchy and close to the headquarters and the management of the group, you are much more involved in M&A. In Germany, a little bit less. In DACH, a little bit less. But we just, for example, made the acquisition of Gyoza, a Swiss company based in Bienne. Let's say more specialized in R&I and reinforcing also sustainability program of L'Oréal. And of course, as this company is in my zone or area of influence, I'm definitely part of it because it have, as you can imagine, huge finance impact in terms of price of share, balance sheet review, P&L integration, on this kind of things. So of course, I'm deeply involved in these kind of things. But the acquisition part is definitely more decided at group level, and it could come from the country. So the country could identify in some area or startup that helps to reinforce, let's say, some needs that we can have in, for example, in sustainability, or some new brands that are emerging and could be interesting for reinforcing our portfolio of brand. But of course, after this, a big process with the headquarters. But if finally we are okay at group level to make the acquisition. The country DACH organization will lead this acquisition, so with the help of the group.
And what kind of companies are you interested in? Like we just talked about startups. So if there are young companies that are growing, what's the type of growing startup, the type of company that you're looking for?
But it could be very different. It depends about our needs. It could be, for example, new brands that will enrich the portfolio of brands because it's some area. For example, you mentioned CeraVe, and congratulations, it's a fantastic brand to use CeraVe. But CeraVe was...
My wife made me. She said, I'm getting older, I need to use it now.
You look very young. Maybe I should take CeraVe. Thank you very much. No, I think CeraVe, it's an acquisition that the group did some years ago based from US, and with the capacity of the group, it's also the idea to make it worldwide after. It's why also it's a fantastic success here also in that region. So it could be brands, it could be a startup for more technical elements from services that we want to provide, like skin analysis or these kind of things that we have to partner with a startup. And maybe I don't know if you are aware, but at group level we have a kind of organization which is called Bold, which is taking participation to some startup company, 15-20%, in order to support them, to help them to grow, and sometimes to be able to acquire them.
So it's a classic corporate venturing. And do you partner with other VCs, or do you do it completely yourself in the corporate venturing? Because there are some companies that like have partners like B2 Venture or something, or is it all internal?
It's let's say we'll say 50-50. We have, of course, a big department of M&A at group level, corporate affairs, that are under the leadership of our CFO, Christophe Babul. And when, of course, after we partner with external advisor for valuation, we partner also with banks, we partner with also a tax advisor or financial advisor when it's when we start to talk about integration or tax, let's say, implication. So I would say it's 50-50. We have a lot of knowledge internally inside our company, but also we are very pleased also to partner with external experts for this kind of case.
And so you also invest very early in early stage startups,
exactly,
like in seed or Series A?
Exactly, with this program, with this organization at group level called Bold. Yes.
Cool. So a little bit about you. We already heard you've been in a lot of CFO roles, if I saw it right. Like I stalked you a little bit on LinkedIn, and I saw that you had a CFO role in Switzerland, in Benelux, the consumer products division in Eastern Europe, then Russia, now the DACH area. So my first question would be, what's the difference for you, like in your daily job, between a regional CFO and being a divisional CFO? Like, because you have been in one division, right? And otherwise in regional roles. Is there a big difference?
Yeah, in fact, there's the difference between being a country and being in the headquarters in a zone role. In a country, you are leading directly a team. You are close to the business. Let's say it's I would say real life, but it's really what the things happening. At the end, the turnover that the group is publishing is the result of all the country turnover. So it's helped to have a direct impact on your team and direct impact on the business. When you are in the headquarter role, and I was a CFO for Europe, Western Europe, because at that time it was two separate zones. Well, first, you are closer to the strategic part because you are close to the COMEX of the group. But you are more working on influencing or bringing a vision at European level and to spread this vision across the country, to embark your multitude of team across Europe on this journey. And when you're in country, you can still, of course, have a vision that you share with your headquarters, but you have a much more direct impact. So it's totally different. There's a role of much more direct, and another role at headquarters where I'm on the strategic part and on the influencing part of the job.
And how does it differ between different regions? Because you've been in so many, like, is it very similar or different because you have different cultures? Like I expect Benelux to be different from Eastern Europe, Russia, DACH. Is it very different? And how did you adapt to different cultures in your leadership and management style?
But what helps first is our company culture. So it's a little bit the backbone that you find everywhere. So when you go in Copenhagen, for example, or you go in Spain, in Italy, when you enter, it's yes, I'm a L'Oréal, because you have this company identity everywhere that you find. Of course, yes, everything is different. After it depends of the challenge that you face in the different, let's say, experience. For example, Switzerland was my first job, my first position at L'Oréal. Everything was new for me. I was learning a lot of things, a lot of marketing, also words. I was I discover also all the brands. In Benelux, yes, it's different. You act differently, and Belgium and Netherlands and Dutch people are totally different. So you learn a lot, a little bit less on techniques, but much more on leadership or to manage this difference. We are in Europe still, but we're all different. So yes, you have to adapt your leadership style, to be agile, to have a, let's say, more sense of humanity, because you can't act the same in different countries. But at the end, it's being always a team player, and it works. It works. In fact, in this company, you don't work against people. You work with people, and you partner with people, whatever the region that they are coming from.
And how was like moving to that many different countries? Did you always move with your family? Before at lunch, you told me you have a son, for example. So did you always move all together? How was that as a family to live in so many different countries?
Well, in Switzerland, of course, in my home country, I was with my wife and my two sons. They are today 25 and 23. Then in 2009, I decided to move to the Netherlands, and the group was very surprised, because a Swiss at that time want to live a kind of El Dorado with Switzerland, and I have to say that it's true. Was quite rare. So I went there with my family. It was our first expat experience. It was very interesting, despite that it's not very far, but it's totally different. And already in Switzerland, when you live in Geneva, but or if you live in Geneva, but your parents are living in Montreux, or you in Zurich or in Saint-Gall, it's you don't see each other every day. So it was very interesting. And then after I moved to Paris, it was a zone role. And before COVID, we were traveling a lot. And my family decided to come back to Geneva. And I remember that I said to my wife, okay, 2 years max of commuting, and then we'll maybe see what we can do differently. And finally, it was 8 years of commuting. But what is true today, I'm based in Düsseldorf. I'm living here with my wife because my son are not with us anymore. I think it's very important to find the right balance between the family and the job as well. So we find this balance. I was with my family in Netherlands, but due to job circumstance in zone, it was better to choose this one. And we're still married. My son are doing very well. I was in Geneva last weekend for the master ceremony of one of my sons. So that's a little bit how we managed.
And how do you enjoy this living in this region of Germany as a Swiss person? Because I did the move the other way around. I'm from close to here and moved to Switzerland. So how is it for a Swiss person here?
Well, I think there's a lot of similitude between Swiss, even if Swiss French were sometimes. No, I think there's a lot of similitude. I like really this mindset of respect, of respecting the rules, respecting each other. You have the same rhythm of life, with the Sunday close when you spend more time with your family. And let's say, despite the weather, sometimes in Düsseldorf a little bit more complicated than in some part of Switzerland, and especially in Geneva. I'm really enjoy the quality of life here, and of course the time also that I spend with my wife, with some friends, and of course with my colleagues.
I have another more recent question, how this affects your job. With the last quarter results of L'Oréal overall, we could see that the share price dropped a little bit because the revenue increase wasn't as big as expected, mainly due to decreasing revenues in China. How does this affect you as the DACH CFO? Because you're not in that region, right? You're not fully responsible for the overall share price, but does it affect your daily life still?
We are the third business unit of the L'Oréal Group. So, of course, we are counting, and our results are counting also for the group. So we need to be successful. in the way that we achieve our business, the way that we reach our consumer, the way that we develop our people in order to contribute to the successful story of L'Oréal.
So maybe a question for both of you, maybe starting with Maria. In your long time at L'Oréal, can you think back of a point, like what were your biggest challenges? Or have there ever been any like very challenging things where you thought about maybe, I might quit the job, it's getting too stressful, it's getting too hard? Were you ever at that point in your career?
I think probably the toughest time I have, and I don't know how it was for you, Stephane, but I think COVID was really, really a tough period. I think for everybody from a very personal perspective, because it just like changed our lives completely from one day to another. But being a team lead and having a big team that you kind of also care for, you had to care for your teams. At the same time, you had to care. I was at PPD, at the Professional Products Division at that time. We also somehow felt that we needed to care for our clients, because the hair salons, they were closed and they were kind of missing all their clients. They were missing their turnover. 95% of their business is done with services, and they were not able to deliver any services. So I have to say that this, in terms of challenge in my job and the reactivity that we all had to show and the agility of bringing the teams together, but in a digital way, and at the same time being creative and developing ideas on how we could support our business partners, our hairdressers, was definitely a very challenging time, but it was also very energizing, because everybody was really, in German you say, wir haben alle am gleichen Strang gezogen. So we all kind of went into the same direction and were really kind of supporting each other. So somehow it also felt good that we had this community of teams independently, if it was the brand team or the sales team or the communications team. Everybody was just like super engaged in finding the ways to support our hairdressers. So probably I think this one was a tough one, but never thinking about quitting, rather thinking about what can we do differently and how do we need to act to also make the teams feel this belonging that we have here in the office. But when you're not coming to the office and you're not seeing each other and you're not having a chat at the coffee point, you need to find other ways. So yeah, we had a lot of digital coffees and digital dinners. And yes, somehow it also made us, stick together.
And for you, Stephane, any other very challenging time that comes up, or was it also the COVID times for you?
Yeah, COVID time was difficult because when you have finance person, you like to plan, to control, to predict, to anticipate. And in Western Europe, due to also the crisis management country by country, if I remember well, it started by Italy, north of Italy, then Spain, and the other country, it was, let's say, impossible to predict. So it was tough time also because part of our company culture is to be together and to be behind a computer all the day long, meeting after meeting without any human connection. And your best friend was your coffee machine, just to refill your coffee between two meetings. It was very complicated for a business point of view. Interesting as well for a finance point of view, because as Maria said, the group take a very strong position to support our customer by granting, for example, more payment terms for hairdresser or small perfumery. So of course, all the, let's say, the P&L or balance sheet management that you used to have before is totally challenged because it's totally new and quite unpredictable. But I have to say that looking a little bit backward, finally we managed quite well.
Mm-hmm. And Maria, any decision you took or any achievement you had in your times at L'Oréal that you're very proud of in retrospective? If you're allowed to praise yourself now.
I'm proud to see how the brands that I have been in charge of, how they have grown throughout the years. Because I feel when you have been in charge of a brand for like 3 or 4 years, when you look back and you think that you were part of this growth, this really makes you proud. But it even makes me prouder to see people that have been part of my teams or mentees that I might have had along the way, how they have grown within L'Oréal. Sure, some of them also developed outside of L'Oréal, but also telling myself that I have been part of their journey, developing them in their professional, but also sometimes personal growth. Because when you coach your team members, sometimes it even goes beyond just the job. It's very personal at some point of time. I really have to say that I have a few that I'm super, super proud of. And some of them develops in DACH, some of them go international, some of them are in Paris today. So it's really, really amazing to see them grow.
And for you, Stephane?
But like Maria, I think I will not add a new comment. I think it's definitely on people development and the people that hire, support, and on this area, definitely there's something on which I'm proud of. But if I need to take another one, I remember that I was in Europe in my zone role with the supply chain director. We decided to let's say, we discussed about an idea to reduce waste, to reduce destruction of our products. And we were brainstorming together with under the leadership of Mr. Vianney Derville, who is today the president of Europe, said, okay, we can reduce waste. And we brainstorm, we bring a solution to the group. It was 5 or 6 years ago. And today this group is worldwide, called name No Waste Management. And it's a program to reduce and to give a second chance to a product that for which we take returns via outlets or via also friends and family sales. So I'm very proud, for example, to have bring this sustainability piece on the total puzzle of the L'Oréal sustainability program.
Mm-hmm. Then thank you very much for now. But it's not over yet, because we have a good tradition at this podcast, and always towards the end of the longer interview, we have some very nice either-or questions that you can just answer very spontaneously. Usually Dirk and I share, so it's 5-5, but now I thought of 10 and prepared 5 for each. So just with your gut feeling, you can tell me what you like better, what your preference is. Some are more professionally related, some are just completely private about your hobbies and preferences. So let's start with Maria. Maria, cultural fit or professional expertise?
Cultural fit.
Stephane, luxury or minimalism?
Good question. Minimalism.
Maria, experience or potential?
Potential.
Numbers or people?
People.
Small talk or deep conversations?
Deep conversations.
Adventure holidays or relaxing at the beach?
Adventure holidays.
What was your last holiday destination?
It was in Croatia this summer, and we did a cruise and a road trip to discover the country.
Cool. Digital detox or always connected?
Always connected.
Efficiency or innovation?
Innovation.
Netflix series or cinema movie?
I have to look football matches at home the whole time.
My wife as well, but she just reads a book while I watch.
Cooking at home or dining out?
Cooking at home.
Cooking at home. Then thank you very much for now. We will still have next week the very interesting tips and tricks episode where we will learn more about your keys to success in your career, and maybe also some tips for our students how to have a nice career, maybe at L'Oréal. So we'll talk about that in the upcoming episode next week. Thank you for now. Thank you for having me here.
Meet the CFO, ein Podcast der Universität St. Gallen mit Dirk Schäfer
und Florian Hohmann.